Hi there, this is a piece of audio content that is only available in full over at patreon.com/ElwoodCityLimits. We wanted to give you a little bit of a preview to show you what you might be missing out on. You can join us for as little as $1 under the Pay What You Want model at patreon.com/ElwoodCityLimits and get access to over dozens of hours of content, including every episode of For the Kids, a PBS Kids podcast. We appreciate you listening, whether you're a patron or whether you're listening on the free feed. You're under no obligation to join, and thank you very much for checking out this preview. But if you'd like to know what these episodes and extra content sounds like, here's a little bit of a sneak peek. Will! Lucas! Mike? Bluey! Was this the first time? I think I've watched like a full Bluey episode before, which is not all that hard. They're very short, but I wasn't in the right mindset, I suppose. I kind of turned it on and was like, it just kind of washed over me. So this time I was like paying attention. I was like trying to get into the mood of it all.
Yeah. You got your boomerang out, you know, you pounded a couple of Fosters.
Yeah, those are big cans too.
and you're properly in the Bluey mindset. Bluey is, I too have never watched a full episode of Bluey before this moment, but it is a favorite of my little sister, even though she is, you know, I say little sister, you'd be like, oh, Lucas, do you have a sister that's right in the demographic for Bluey? Is she 6 years old? She's 24. But whether it's like clips on TikTok, she really has an affinity for Bluey. She really likes it. And we might get into a little bit later when we're talking about our thoughts on why that might be. But a running joke is my little sister, you know, her hobby is boxing. She's big into boxing. Mm-hmm. And she's been recently at the point now where she's good enough to do like kind of like an exhibition friendly matches of actual boxing. And she was talking about kind of mulling over what her entrance theme was going to be. And a running joke between me and her was how funny it would be if she came out to the Bluey theme song, you know, to beat a girl up. It's like, bingo! Yeah.
That's actually a great goof. I love that. Let me know if she does that. That would be the best. So let's keep on this here. We have talked about Bluey on ECL before, and I'm pretty sure it was with not terribly kind to it, I suppose. I think
I feel like that was more of a you thing.
Yeah.
The way you always talked about Bluey, it was very different than like kind of what I knew of Bluey. I just knew Bluey as it's like the cute Australian dogs. But some of the stuff you would mention about it, it's almost made it seem like Steven Universe or something, where it was like this like very saccharine, almost earnest to a cringy degree kind of show that was more for the adults to feel good about themselves than its intended audience. At least that was the vibe I got from your kind of descriptions of it.
So by the time I found out about it, it was probably also similar to your sister through like clips on TikTok and stuff like that. But it was probably 2 years ago or so. And that was when it was becoming known as the kids show that adults like to watch with kids. And I have seen it in a couple of articles compared to a show like Arthur, in that it's a show that has as much to offer its adult audience as its kid audience that it's intended for. And what rubbed me the wrong way about it, I suppose, and this is the weird space that I'm in, because as you all listening know, I talk about Arthur for a semi-living and like have opinions about it and feel certain ways about it. So I want to be careful with pointing fingers about like, well, that's dumb or whatever, because we're all interested in what we're interested in. But I think the language of people my age or older talking about Bluey was these kind of reverent tones about how like, oh, it's so good. Like I'm watching this with my kid and I started crying or something like that. And I'm like, all right, like there's been very few times that like I've watched Arthur as an adult and like really cried. And some people are talking about it's like it understands how difficult motherhood is. And I'm like, it's a show about cartoon dogs, everybody. And I don't mean to be like, you know, it doesn't, we can never control what type of thing will like touch our heart or like see us, as we say these days. So I don't want to be too judgmental. Obviously, I'm being a little judgmental, but looking from the outside before interacting with it, it has this reputation. It's one of the most popular children's IPs going right now. So
people were talking about it like when that Paw Patrol movie came out, and people were like, it's the most realistic depiction of an anxiety attack to ever grace the silver screen. And it was like, okay, everybody, time to go outside a little bit. You gotta turn off the screens, folks. We gotta go outside. We gotta go touch grass. Take a deep breath.
This is what I try to remember when we were talking about Arthur, and like trying to hold it up to the standards of a television show intended for adults that I'm watching, of like, okay, it's like, I can obviously be affected by it or think that it's interesting or smart, that being any sort of Arthur episode that we feel is especially good, but it's also just like, this is made for children, and I just need to always continue interrogating, like, when I say this is good or when I say this is bad, what do I mean by that? Right. So when you have people, and
also, you know, that's the Bluey that's adults who are posting about cartoons on the internet, which you know, and I feel like I'm comfortable enough to say this because we are a part of that class of folk, but not necessarily maybe the most measured or non-hyperbolic group of folks, adults who are talking about baby shows on the internet. So, you know, maybe we were perhaps, Will, judging Bluey by its audience, or the way people were talking about it, rather than the text itself. Because like you said, this is kind of our first time watching the dang show.
Totally. Like, I will cop to that, because the one time that I did watch Bluey, I just got the sense right away that I was like, this is not for me at this stage in my life, because I'm obviously too old for it to be watching it myself for entertainment, and I don't have a kid right now. So there's no real reason for me to go out of my way, and there's also like so many episodes of it, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's not really doing much for me that I want to go through however many episodes there are, like probably close to 100 at this point, even if they are really short. So I just like, all right, people seem to really like this, whatever. And then we bounced around the idea this year of maybe actually doing something about that, and like watching a bit of Bluey and putting it in the sense of a podcast, because it seems that when we bring up Bluey on like the ECL Discord or on the show, there are people around our age, younger, older, who do have opinions about it, and I figured you might want to be there as we go into it for the first time for real now. So obviously before I got into this, I wanted to just get a sense of where this came from, because as somebody, as I said, without a kid, without anybody, I don't have a kid myself. I will say my niece loves this show. It's one of her favorite things. She loves Bluey so much. She was telling me, she was talking to me about it recently. I was visiting with her, and she was telling me what happens in the episode, and I felt like my own parents when I was 7 years old and telling them what just happened on Arthur. And I'm just like, okay, this holds similar court in my niece's mind as Arthur and other shows did for me. So that was really eye-opening, and so I just wanted to give this a try. But I also wanted to know where it came from. Okay, that's going to do it for now, but we will see you next time on Elwood City Limits, or at patreon.com/ElwoodCityLimits if you decide to join us. Thank you very much, and have a great week.